Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about 5G phones becoming satellite phones. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of announcement like, iPhone might have it, Android might have it, SpaceX have announced some things with T-Mobile. So let's dive deep into it. So what exactly is the problem that we need to think about something so convoluted as making your normal phone into a satellite phone? Well, reality is we have mobile phone on every corner of this planet. Has the network is not so much so. For example, I travel to a court case for around 220-kilometer journey, and majority of the time when I get network, I get a lot of network, meaning I have dual SIM phone, so I can have two companies network. I get both of them, awesome. But when I am in a stretch of road where there is no network, meaning of anything. So it's very weird where you can have a scenario where it's like, in city you can have like boatload of carrier providers, boatload of towers, and the moment you go a little bit of suburb, little bit of rural, nothing. Just nothing. So that creates a very serious scenario where the super expensive mobile phone becomes useless. And there are many situations and places where it does become a matter of life and death, specifically in natural disaster. Whenever you have a natural disaster, be example flood, tsunami, earthquakes, things of that nature, like something big and brutal, it generally has a tendency to create some serious disruption in communication. And at that point in time, if you have something basic, for example, even just basic as Morse code, that's why a lot of people still practice ham radio, is that if all you can tell to someone, like let's say authority will try to figure out search and rescue operation, and all you can tell them, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm healthy. And if enough people can do that, that will reduce so much load from search and rescue operations, that it will be very smooth, very efficient, it will save life. So it's not just a lol luxury kind of function. No, at certain points in time it becomes life and death kind of scenario where you're like, dude, I can reach to you. No video call, no 4K video calling and all that jazz, just like, hey, I'm here, I'm alive, done. That's a very awesome thing. Now here's the problem. You may be like, can't mobile do that? Here's the deal. Whenever you have something really bad, like for example serious earthquake, serious tsunami or flooding, mobile towers also become the first thing that goes down. So you're literally entire neighborhood, entire blocks, entire city can literally lose connection. So at that point in time it becomes a very serious disaster. And that's why many times you will notice people in disaster relief zones, they will be carrying their own satellite phones for that exact reason, that if you have something bad happening, there is a very good chance the network is also down. The moment the network is down, surprisingly large amount of people can be stranded, and because they do not have communication, search and rescue becomes very tedious, dangerous and wasteful of time, which you do not have the luxury of buying. So that's why it is serious situation. So what we can do in the sort of as a solution, well, satellite is far above us. That's the best advantage it has, meaning it's disaster free zone, meaning there is no tsunami, there is no flooding, there is no earthquake, there is nothing, there is no typhoon there. So it's completely disaster free. And if you can have equipment that is handheld, meaning it's man portable system, and it's battery power devices, meaning even if you do not have power, let's say today you open a solar panel, tomorrow it will charge up little by little, and it will start to operate. That allows, and if it can touch satellite, it allows you to have true global reach, meaning you are never stranded, meaning you, no matter which corner of this earth you are in, you can reach out. And if people are looking for you, that's awesome. That means like majority of your problems are solved right then and there. So satellite phones do that. They are real thing. They have been in use from 1990s. So here's the deal. How do they do it? Well, whenever you talk about satellite phones, for example, Iridium, you're not talking about this hardware that looks Iridium. You're talking about an ecosystem of Iridium, because Iridium has their own handsets and their own satellites. And that ecosystem creates a scenario where you have a phone that works almost anywhere. Specifically, the only places it does not work is the pole, because their satellites are not designed for polar orbits. There are other satellite providers that specifically fine-tuned for that, because they know Iridium is not focusing on that area. So they're like, dude, go to Arctic or Atlantic, it will work. It's like how a GPS system is specifically focused on lower areas, like closer to equator, and Russian systems, GLONASS system, was specifically focused for orbital area because they are much closer to poles. So it's one of those scenarios where you're not talking about just a hardware, not receiving the hardware. You are talking about the whole ecosystem. So it is here, it's real, it does work. But then what's the problem? Well, problem is it's super expensive, meaning these phone will make your Samsung Fold look cheap. Let that sink in. It will make your Samsung Fold look cheap, which makes iPhone look cheap. So it's very expensive. And then we come to the most painful aspect, running cost. Meaning, if your age is similar to mine, you may be familiar with the fact that mobile phone used to have very expensive per minute call, like as in like 2 rupees, 5 rupees per minute. It was like painful. Now we don't even care about it. It's like meh. Majority of the time, if you have good recharge value, it's like unlimited, so we don't care about it. But here's the satellite phones. You will be able to buy Rolls Royce if you talk for very long amount of time in this sort of phones. They are very, very expensive. So we need something that can do something similar but mainstream, meaning everybody has that. At that point in time, this is a really amazing technology. If you can truly achieve that, it's awesome. That means if you have earthquake, tsunami, any disaster, like everybody's like, bro, I'm here, I'm safe, bro, I'm here, I'm bleeding. It's like that will allow everybody to focus their efforts, and all you have to do is like transport text reliably. So that's more than good enough. That's the solution that we want to have, where everybody has it. So why we are talking about Starlink? Well, I specified, without satellite, you do not have satellite phones. And Starlink is the largest satellite active network at this point in time. Meaning you take everybody, I mean from military to every Tom, Dick and Harry to every country Tom, Dick and Harry. Keep them on one side, SpaceX on another side. SpaceX like, yeah, I'm the daddy. Like 3,000 big kind of daddy. So it's really, really huge. Now, here's a twist. The twist is they are using same spectrum for communication that is similar to 5G. Now 5G has multiple sub-bands into it, meaning 5G does not mean any spectrum like it means 2G or 3G or something like that. 5G means is 5G. Actually, the word does not carry any meaning because they have diluted it too much, but it also has the ability to communicate in 27.5 gigahertz to 28.35 gigahertz. Now, interestingly, SpaceX is also using this spectrum, like 27.5 to 29.5 gigahertz. Now, why is that? Well, generally, you do not want to have that high frequency. You want lower frequency. Lower frequency travels much farther. For example, I have downloaded images from NOAA satellite. Children do that. It's a very easy hobby. They uses 100, megahertz, almost like FM kind of frequencies. So that travels very far. For very low receiving power, you can receive like if you just have long enough antenna, and I mean passive antenna, it's just gonna work. But if you try to do that on same kind of receiving power, it will not detect anything at 27 gigahertz. So generally, the higher the frequency, the more the bandwidth you get, the lower the penetration you get. Weather can easily block it. The energy you need to transmit reliably, it goes up exponentially. But it's the same frequency used by 5G mobile towers, and that's why you will always hear people talking about like 5G has to be, every block has to have that. You cannot have like one few central towers. That will simply not work. 4G frequency is low enough where it can travel that far, but the moment your frequency starts to reach 27 gigahertz, it can be blocked by just your hand. So you have to understand, they literally have to put mobile towers everywhere. So SpaceX is also using the same spectrum. Now, current satellites are flat or not powerful enough. Why? Well, again, they do not have big enough solar panel. Even if somehow they have ludicrously high efficiency system where they can take GG amounts of power and make it GG amounts of radio power, it will simply not work, right? Because flat out right now, they don't have enough oomph in their satellites. So they need V2 satellites, which will be exponentially more powerful. Bare minimum 10x powerful, and practically speaking around 30 to 35x. Again, this has not been launched, and Elon Musk has been claiming about this for so long that it's boring at this point in time, but it has not been launched. Now, if this puppy is launched, it has enough surface area, it has enough antenna density, it has enough solar panel power where it can actually deliver on that. Where it's like, no, I have enough oomph to reach to, basically the decibel that you are receiving on your ground will be high enough where mobile phone be able to amplify it. Now, here's the deal. Now, version 2 will also have laser link, which they have not deployed yet, and it will also have more power. It will do everything amazing. But here's the problem: this cannot be launched yet. Meaning, of course, they can make it. They can try to brute force it and launch one or two piece of it using Falcon 9, but that's too wasteful. So flat out, Starship has to be completed first. Now that created a paradox. Starship has to work because otherwise, basically, this whole Starlink will become bankruptcy joke. So they know for a fact. But here's the T-Mobile is like, bro, you have to give us a bit more concrete. So SpaceX is like very serious. We're gonna get this working. If we do not get this working within a set amount of time, which they would have negotiated internally, we're gonna create a sub-variant, basically something in between of those. Those will be launched using Falcon 9. So I think that's the insurance policy that T-Mobile is using, because again, this is compulsory. Without it, it's not going to happen. But again, this is too far out. Not only the satellite has not been launched, the carrier that will carry it is also not completed. So at this point in time, it's only an imagination. So they need something in between which they can put more faith in. Whereas like, no, you're going to launch this soon. So then T-Mobile can be like, yeah, we got this. So that may happen. If that's starting to happen, that is a very bad sign, simply because Falcon 9 is not good enough for this. So let's see what happens. So if Starship is delayed too much, then that will happen. And you have to understand, normal 5G phones will work, but be mindful, not very cheap 5G mobile phones, because cheap 5G mobile phone does not have beam-forming antennas. They just have one low-grade antenna, but it does not have beam-forming phase shift array technology, meaning if it does not have phase shift array, the probability of it able to maintaining a good connection with satellite is negligible. So again, it will connect, but it will, like, it will lose too much packet, whereas like, even if the satellite is capable of communicating with you around 1 Mbps, you will be lucky to get like few kbps. So you do need, like, high quality phones. Tablets will become useful, because tablets physically has enough space where they can put enough phase shift array antennas when they can, like, beam form a quality signal. So let's see what happens, because be mindful, without V2 is just imagination. So what about the speed? We are talking about satellite, and again, Starlink satellites are giving people very high speeds. Well, here's the physics does not allow you to do that. Physics does not allow you to use Starlink on your mobile phone and get a broadband connection. Like, how the heck this is receiving it? But here's the deal: if they could do that on a mobile phone, you would not buy this. You will just buy, like, dongle. So if you're old enough, people used to do that dongle thing long ago, as like, 4G SIM card into a dongle, and then you're using as internet service. We can't do that. There is a reason why this has 100 plus antennas inside it, like 100 plus small antennas, which properly calibrated and beam forming. Then only it can talk to satellites with good enough reliability, where enough packets are traveling that it can actually give you 100 Mbps connection. So because you have to, low Earth orbit is close enough compared to geostationary, which is 36,000 kilometers. LEO is very close to us, but it's still 550 kilometers. So that simply means inverse square law is going to kick your ass. And fundamentally, that's law of physics. It cannot be bypassed. It cannot be. That's why this sort of dish has to be made. That's why this dish is so expensive. It just needs so much oomph to that. Without it, will simply not able to, like, it cannot scream loud enough for satellite to hear it. It can hear the satellite, but this cannot touch the satellite. So that does simply create a physical reality where your mobile phone does not have enough oomph to it. And that's why you will always look at satellite phones. They have huge batteries in them, and they have even bigger antennas in them. That's law of physics. It cannot be tampered with. It cannot be bypassed. So each satellite has a very large footprint, meaning what kind of area it's covering. It's a very large footprint. Now here's each footprint cell, they are classifying it as, like, flying cells. So that cell should have 5 Mbps. Does not mean each customer will get 5 Mbps. Now if you are middle of nowhere, let's say over ocean, again, you will be the only one using that cell, so you may be like 5 Mbps. But if, like, let's say there are 500 people, like, let's say you are in a forest or a desert area, a lot of people are there, lot as in like 100 or 20, 200 people, but 200 of people are using the same T-Mobile service, because other than that, there is nothing else that works. Everybody will be like 5 Mbps divided by that. Now, is that good enough? Absolutely. That's more than good enough. Even if you are only transmitting like few bits, kilobits per second, that's enough where you can transmit your GPS coordinate reliably, accurately, meaning until your battery dies, people will know exactly where you were until your battery died. So that's more than good enough. Now, would you be like, can't we increase that in the future? Well, no. Physics stops it. Physics inherently says, if you want to talk to a satellite, increase your power. Flat out. And your mobile phone battery does not have that much power. We are working our ass off to make mobile phone battery smaller, more efficient. So physics does not allow you to, like, more inverse square law is a law. It's a law, and you don't roll around laws. So what we can expect in the future? Well, densification, meaning each cell will become smaller simply because there will be so much more satellite. So even if there are multiple footprints that are overlapping and there are a lot of people in one concentrated area, satellite network will be like, hey, I will take care of 10 users, I will take care of 10 users, then 10 will be divided by 5 Mbps. So then you could have a scenario where people are like, even in densely area, like, a forest, there are a lot of people hiking there who will have a good connection. So that can be expected. And maybe in future, tablets will become useful simply because tablets have enough surface area where you can have enough phase shift, small antennas, enough of it where it's like justifies. It's like, bro, it's a big thing. It has big batteries. It has enough of it where it's like, actually tangibly able to achieve that 5 Mbps maximum throughput. If you are in a cell where nobody else is using it, people may start to use tablets again. So that's the speed aspect of it. Expect densification. So when SpaceX goes from 3,000 satellite to 30,000 satellite, expect that. Don't expect speed up. So what we can expect in the future? Well, here's the deal. It does not matter whether iPhone does it or Android does it. Does not matter at all. Does not matter T-Mobile does it or BSNL does it. Does not matter at all. What matters is SpaceX, simply because nobody else has anything even close to this. Now, many have claimed it, be it OneWeb, be it Amazon Kuppler, and recently US government, Army Division, specifically Air Force, they were like, hey, we have a lot of remote locations, we need communication, and they are doing a contract. Now, this is a very small contract, chump change kind of contract, like barely $2 million. Now, that's not a big deal for military, but here's the deal. If that contract is successfully fulfilled, big money will start to come in, as in like billions of dollars will start to come in. So people who are trying to oppose it, to stop it and all, here's the Air Force had a very clear answer. Everybody is claiming we're gonna do this or we're gonna do that. Here's the nobody has anything. Now, like, didn't OneWeb actually launch satellites? No. The amount of satellite they launched is negligible. It's something that SpaceX does in 1 month. That's the whole reality of it. Everybody is claiming we're gonna do this, and be mindful, OneWeb has been bought and sold so many times, it's confusing who is actually owning it at this point in time. Amazon Kuppler, again, they don't even have rocket, and that's the critical aspect of it. We had technology to make satellite phones long ago. We had the technology to make it miniature mobile phones that can communicate to satellite phones long ago. Then why didn't we do it? Well, reality was rockets were the bottleneck, not the satellites, not the phone. Rockets were. Rockets were stuck in 1970, basically Cold War era technology. Nobody improved it after that because money ran up, government did not, and then technology got that aura where it's like, oh, this is magic technology, this rocket science is so hard, like, that's why. Now, when Elon Musk came, he's like, what if I actually try to upgrade that puppy? Voila, Falcon 9. And here's the deal, Falcon 9 is the most advanced rocket at this point in time, which ludicrously high cadence with reusability. Like, no other company can even come close or claim to it. Like, flat out, there is not even competition. It's like, ready, get set, go, and SpaceX is like, 500 kilometers away, and everybody else is like, oh, race started? That's how bad this is. And here's the, even this amazing technology is not good enough because it's not big enough. It does not have the oomph. That's why they are developing Starship, which is at this point in time exclusive. Even SpaceX, let's say Blue Origin really gets their act together, it really starts to work. Their first rocket, they would be lucky if it will to directly compete with, let's say, Falcon 9. For example, Neutron, that is the only closest competitor to this puppy, is still few years away, and that will be lower tonnage than this. So that's the reality. That's the actual hardcore reality of it. There is nothing, nobody has anything that can even come close to matching. Satellites, we had it. Mobile phones, we had it. Rockets, now we are the only, like, in a place where it's like, oh, reusable rocket is a thing. Oh, there is a company that can actually launch 2 rockets in a week. Let that sink in. Space shuttle supposed to be reusable, supposed to be like space bus, supposed to be like 2 a month. That was imaginary what they were selling to the Congress. What they got was like 2 launches a year. SpaceX, 2 launches a week, bitch. So reality is there is no competition. That's why I focus on SpaceX part, not on mobile part. That's the easy part. That's everybody got it. It's like how quickly SpaceX can make that number. First, version 2 satellites or miniature satellites. Maybe they will launch miniature satellites as a test trial run. Let's see what happens. So this was my presentation on 5G mobile phones becoming satellite phones. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.